Breakfast. On the box on the radio now, it's TV Talk with Chris Philpott at stuff.co.nz, Chris Philpott NZ on Twitter. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hey, how are you?
Very good, thank you very much. Diving on into the news section, and NBC's cult favourite comedies have been renewed. What are they?
Yeah, well, we're talking about 30 Rock, Parks and Recreation, and Community, and I think in this case, cult favourite has been put in as a replacement for the term low rating. They're all three are rated pretty low in the States, and all three were in a bit of risk for not making it back next season.
Yeah.
But they all have been confirmed. 30 Rock will be back for one final season of 13 episodes, and from what I've read, that's mostly because of Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin, who have said they're not interested in coming back beyond this last season. And I mean, really, without Tina Fey, who would want to watch it anyway?
True.
Parks and Recreation is back for a full season order, which is great. That's 22 episodes for their 5th season. And Community's in a bit of trouble. It's been given a limited run of 13 episodes, but it's also been moved to Friday nights, which in America is a death slot.
Yeah.
The shows that are doing badly are sent there to die. Fox, for example, has put Fringe there for the last year and a half because it was rating so low, and they've just moved Touch there as well, the Kiefer Sutherland comedy. The Kiefer Sutherland drama, though it's funny that it's so bad. So there's that problem that Community probably won't be back beyond its 4th season. And then the other problem is now Dan Harmon, who's the creator and the main voice of the show, is now saying he hasn't made a deal to come back for a 4th season yet.
Oh, no.
And there's a slight chance he might not be back. And you wonder if the show was in the hands of anyone other than Dan Harmon, whether it would even be worth watching. I don't think it would be necessarily.
Parks and Recreation and Community seem like the sort of shows that could be picked up like by an online streaming service in the US like Hulu or Netflix.
They could, and they definitely would do well in that. On one of those, but I think the problem is the cast is the names in the cast are too big now, where I don't think that someone like Netflix or Hulu could necessarily pay for such a big ensemble cast of stars to be all together in one room for that long. So that would be the one thing that maybe would stop a show like Community making it onto Netflix. Would just be casting.
Although Arrested Development, when that show first came out, of course, some of those stars weren't stars at the time. Now they are stars, and they are coming back for the Netflix-funded Arrested Development.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably a good counterpoint, but I think Community maybe doesn't have there isn't the same chance of reward that you would have with Arrested Development. Like,
right.
I think Arrested Development is a known quantity. They know what they're getting, and probably Mitch Hurwitz has made a deal based on, realistic expectations. Community is dropping every year, and if it went to Netflix, who's to say how much it would drop even further?
Sure.
So that's the next problem. And the Arrested Development thing as well, part of the deal with making that is that it's going to air on Fox at some point,
right?
Probably after it's been on Netflix. So there is a traditional broadcasting deal there in place.
Okay. Of course, House is finishing, and what's Hugh Laurie going to do now that that's going to be over?
Well, I've just chucked this one in because I thought it was pretty exciting news. Now, Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry, who is another really great British comic, worked together on a show called A Bit of Fry and Laurie between 1989 and 1995. And that's one of the most... I mean, that show was hilarious. It was hugely successful and really funny all over the world, really. It's in Britain. It was famous here in New Zealand as well. Did really well here. And the two are working together again. Stephen Fry has confirmed it. He tweeted that he was in a room working with Hugh Laurie at the moment, and so they're putting something together. What it is, we don't know. When we might see it, we don't know. But just the mere chance that Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry might be doing something together is pretty exciting, I think, for anyone who remembers A Bit of Fry and Laurie.
It's got everyone a buzz, particularly, of course, Stephen Fry being so big on social media. He'd have no problem announcing when and where it's all going to happen. Let's look at reviews, though. Upfronts 2012 is on. What is that?
Well, Upfronts it's not a show. We're not really reviewing a show as such. Upfronts Week is held in New York City every May, and it's a chance for the major US networks, the likes of Fox and NBC, ABC, CBS, to announce their brand new fall schedule. Now, the fall schedule in America is the big money time of the year for them. So all the highest profile shows air in the fall. We're talking September through till late November, and then starting again in late January through till May. And all the biggest shows are on then. That period of time generates the highest advertising revenue as well for the networks, and it's when they get their highest viewership. And so what Upfronts is a chance for the networks to present their new schedule, their new shows, what changes they're making to advertisers and to the media alike. And it also means that they have to announce what shows they've cancelled, and what shows they're putting into the schedule. So it's a big week for American TV, and it shows a lot of what's going to be happening next year, what shows have been a success, and what's coming up. It's a week-long thing. So we've had Fox and NBC. They did their presentations yesterday. ABC has done theirs. I think it finished about half an hour ago, so the stories are starting to hit the internet now. And then TNT and CBS are tomorrow, and it finishes up with the CW and USA on Friday. A bunch of smaller networks get in on it as well. ESPN, for example, does a presentation, but theirs is mostly... their whole business plan is just show more sport, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know how interesting that would be. But it is really exciting to see what's happening over there.
And some of those shows coming up. One, I saw a trailer the other day. It looks terrible, and I'm sad that it looks terrible because it stars Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. It's called Revolution. No doubt, I guarantee it's going to show on TV2 here or something. But it looks like crap. It looks like the TV version of the bow and arrow thing that's just been on. The post-apocalyptic.
The Hunger Games.
That looks like that.
Well, I think probably part of the deal is to cash in on the success of that. But it's definitely something in the vein of Lost. As you say, it's called Revolution. It's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi thriller. But it's produced by J.J. Abrams, of course, the producer of Lost, the director of Star Trek. He's got his hand in many, many different things. And Eric Kripke, who is the guy behind Supernatural, which is a show that... is a cult favourite, I guess you would call it, low rating as well. Airs late night on Fridays on TV2 when it's airing. And what it is, it's about a future in which all forms of energy have disappeared mysteriously. No one knows where they've gone, and so everyone kind of goes back to their tribal roots and tries to defend themselves as best they can. Yeah. And as you say, it stars Gus Fring, Giancarlo Esposito is in it, and Billy Burke, who's probably the best actor who ever appeared in Twilight, is one of the main characters as well. But as you say, the trailer was a bit cringy. Yeah, I have to say it looks like it looked very staged. It didn't look natural. Like everything looked like they were in a room that had been dressed up to look like the outdoors, and that's not what you want to see on a big, high-profile show, really, is it?
Kind of like a Young and the Restless set.
Yeah, it did. It had that kind of vibe about it, and that's not a good sign, I don't think. But that's one of many, many new shows that are coming up. A few other interesting ones that I've spotted out and about. The Following is a thriller. It's created by Kevin Williamson, who's the guy behind Dawson's Creek and The Vampire Diaries, and also who wrote the Scream movies. And it stars Kevin Bacon as a former FBI agent on the trail of a killer. So, I mean, that might be an interesting watch. We've got 1600 Penn, which is a comedy set in the White House about the first family with Bill Pullman and Jenna Elfman playing the president and the first lady. There's a fire crew procedural show called Chicago Fire, which is produced by Dick Wolf, the man who is behind all of the Law and Order shows. And that's got the guy who plays Chase on House, Jesse Spencer, is in it. A few others that are around. Terry O'Quinn, who played Locke on Lost, is in a new one called 666 Park Avenue, which is a supernatural drama about the tenants of a building who have all made deals with the devil. And then there's one which I'm really interested to watch called Last Resort. Now, this one's a thriller from the guy who made The Shield, Sean Ryan, and it's about the crew of a nuclear submarine who go on the run after defying orders to fire missiles on someone, and then they find themselves at a NATO base and declare themselves the world's smallest nuclear nation. Which sounds it sounds like an interesting idea. Sean Ryan from The Shield, the guy who is created and written this one, he's actually a really good talent, and his shows are all usually pretty good. So I've got high hopes for that one, but it's all speculation at this point. I mean, these shows might sound half interesting, but this is all we've got. We've got these and maybe a 2-minute trailer to go on. There's no evidence that any of it will be any good.
Does HBO attend the upfronts, or do they have their own thing?
No.
Okay.
The pay cable don't attend this at all. Because they're not based on advertising revenue.
Sure.
The upfronts is for advertisers primarily, and the media just gets involved because we like speculating on shows like Revolution and seeing what they're going to be like. But it is primarily for advertisers.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So none of the pay cable channels, HBO, Showtime, AMC, none of them get involved really at this point.
I got the same feeling from that Revolution trailer as I did about Terra Nova, which has been cancelled. So there you go.
Well, Terra Nova is one of the shows that have been cancelled, and that's another interesting thing about Upfronts is the list of shows that have been cancelled this year. And there are some big names in there. CSI Miami has been cancelled by CBS and won't be back next year, even though CSI New York is still going, as well as CSI Vegas.
Yeah.
That's gone. The Finder is gone. The show that's on TV3, 8:30 on Thursdays at the moment. GCB, which just started last night on TV2 at 8:30, cancelled after 10 episodes.
You see, this is the point, though. This is what people are getting so angry about, that these shows are obviously crap, and TVNZ and TV3 constantly buy them, and then they get cancelled because they're crap.
I think part of TVNZ's problem is they're fighting against this notion that everything's delayed, and the only way to get it past that is to speculate on which shows will succeed, which is why they end up with a show like GCB, which they would have bought last October sometime before it had aired in the States.
Well, they're speculators just aren't up to the job. That's the basic fact, because they're always banking on rubbish, so they're not up to the task.
Well, that could be part of the problem as well. They don't stick with known quantities, really, is what it is, and they're always trying to take risks. But that's what Upfronts is like as well. The networks in the States are exactly the same, replacing a bunch of shows that, I mean, is Revolution going to be better than something like The Finder or CSI Miami? Who knows? It probably won't be. Will it perform better? Probably not. So what's the point in cancelling one for the other? It's a real finicky kind of deal,
Isn't it?
It's not a science by any measurement.
All right. Well, what is coming up anyway on TV this week that's worth watching?
Well, it's a pretty quiet week, really. We got the Sons of Anarchy season finale tonight at 9:30 on TV3. That's after the Almighty Johnsons, which is down to its second to last episode. Media 7. Now, this one is interesting to me. Tomorrow night's Media 7 is at 9:05 on TVNZ7. They're talking about FYX or Fix. We talked about this last week, the new ISP that had its global mode. Everyone was talking about it. The internet was abuzz with talk of global mode. And what happened was, at the end of last week, they cancelled it suddenly without any warning. So tomorrow night's Media 7 is going to be looking at that, talking to Paul Brislin from 2Ns, I believe, as well, to try and figure out what happened exactly. And then next Tuesday, return series of Intrepid Journeys on TV1, 8:30 p.m., which is always a pretty entertaining watch. I think it's one of the better Kiwi shows around. It's interesting stuff.
Rachel Hunter's first up, I think it's she.
It's Steve Price from the Warriors, I believe.
Oh, okay. All right.
Warriors and Steve Price.
Good-o.
Who's not actually a New Zealander, which makes it weird. But whatever.
Is he an Aussie, is he? I don't know.
He's Australian, yeah.
Stuff.co.nz, the entertainment section there. You'll find the blog on the box. And also find this as a video once more, qfm.co.nz, the Radio Wammo Show page link. Thanks very much, Chris.
No worries. See you later.